What's going on, guys? We have another Super Metroid race going on right now. This time between Krankdud and Kanzeon. I will be your host here on the Speed Gaming channel. My name is Christofalo. What's going on, everybody? And they are already off. They are starting off in Sirius Station, the most serious of space stations. Getting hit by Ridley a whole bunch. Then quickly escaping. A little bit about these two runners. Kanzeon has he's ranked 37th on Deer Tier with a 124.08 personal best. Meanwhile, Krankdud has a 124.36. That makes him 43rd place in the world. It's pretty good. So there's about a 30-second difference between these two runners and their personal bests. It's not a lot of time. Hopefully, we will be seeing a super close race. These two runners now touching down on the planets. They'll be doing some item collection. Picking up the Morph Ball, then the missiles. Making their way towards Bomb Torizo to pick up the bombs. There's not a lot to say about this segment of the game other than there's some movement optimizations that they'll be doing. A few downbacks here and there, which saves a bit of time. Two runners are going to be falling down the climb. They'll be climbing that back up later. To give you guys an update, I believe I will be joined by Mythical9 for a bit of this commentary as well.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I'm just fine. I got to admit, I'm a little biased here. Krankdud, friend of mine, rooting for him.
Well, I'm a little biased here. Kanzeon, a good friend of mine, so looks like we're not going to get along.
All right, we got an interesting dynamic going on here. This is good. Krankdud been playing Super Metroid for a long time. Well, I don't. Maybe that's not quite true. He played it a long time ago, but he kind of stopped for quite a long time. Especially unfamiliar with the 100% category, but the tournament kind of flushed him out of hiding. He's practiced a little bit, but he's feeling pretty shaky on some of the hundo strats. So we'll see if he can come up big here in the single elimination phase of this tournament.
Yeah, I know Kanzeon's been running this game for a while too. He was a little bit disenfranchised with it for a while. It switched to A Link to the Past, as a lot of Super Metroid runners actually do for some reason. But he's back, and hopefully we'll see something exciting.
I think their PBs are actually about 30 seconds apart, so this could actually be a really good race.
Yeah, they are incredibly close. You can see a bit of a movement optimization there by Krankdud. Well, a little misstep, I should say, as he did have to go and collect health from that gamer there. He needs to go into the Bomb Torizo with full health. Otherwise, Bomb Torizo does not give him the correct drops that he needs. He wants to collect a bunch of missiles from it instead.
Yeah, you're in a missile crunch early on in the game. Haven't picked up your expansions yet, and you got to go through a couple of these red doors. You also, of course, want the missiles for the fight. Thankfully, this boss spits them out all the time.
Yeah, both of these runners having similar luck. Collecting a bunch of missiles. You want to pick up. You don't want to pick up all the missiles at once in this fight. You actually want to pick up some and then go back for the others. Able to fire 7 missiles and 5 pea shooter shots to make quick work of the boss. But they dispatch a bomb cruiser pretty quickly, making their way up Alcatraz.
Pretty clean exits for both players.
These two runners are so close to each other right now. I mean, we are only 6 minutes into the run, but because their PBs are so close, I think that we are going to see something real exciting.
Yeah, you're going to see Krankdud slow down a little bit because the 100% route is so similar to the any percent route. Right now, while you do this early game collection, you kind of need to get the same few items in about the same order. So Krankdud very experienced with this part of the game, but later on, when you need to start detouring for some of those pickups, I think you're going to see Kanzeon start to make up a bit of ground on him.
Definitely. And as these two runners make their way into Brinstar, they'll be doing the first major route. This is the first point where the route diverges from any percent. As they pick up the super missile pack, they're going to be going back for the reserve tank and missile packs to the right of this room.
We'll see if Krankdud remembers he is indeed playing 100%. All right.
A very clean D boost that he buffered there. Both of these runners, Kanzeon, narrowly missing the damage boost off of the waiver there.
I love the damage boosting in Super Metroid. It's insane.
Yeah, it moves you so far and so quickly, and to abuse it properly as these runners do in a speedrun is just so impressive. Also really forces you to keep an eye on your health so you don't die when you're trying to damage boost, which I know I've done before. Krankdud going for the return trip mock ball. He is able to get it. That mock ball there, very precise, very challenging. He's going for the optimal strat. Kanzeon gets the return trip as well. Not going for the quick fall method through the bridge. Will cost him a little bit of time over Krankdud.
Oh, there's an example of the damage boost not quite working out the way Krankdud wanted. Very tricky to get the necessary turnarounds and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm good to go. All right, and looks like we've got our two runners synced up now. Well, they're timers anyways. So, I was mentioning this earlier when I was commentating on the race versus Sweetnum and Jero, but I've been starting to run 90% lately, and I have a newfound appreciation for the Spazer beam. Not so much the extra damage it does, but the fact that the beam is so much wider allows you to hit so many more. You can be so much lazier with your shots. So I've been really enjoying that lately, but not so much. Not enjoying missing it out in any percent.
It really does increase the consistency on a lot of things that you maybe take for granted if you're a hundo runner.
Definitely, and there's a couple points where the damage is relevant. You can usually get away with it in any percent by just switching to missiles, but Spazer Beam, definitely one of the more understated items in this game.
I wish we still had our Heart Spazer Frank Your Faces emote. I think we probably still have a Crate emote, though. That might be relevant.
Krankdud entering the Kraid fight, along with Kanzeon right behind him. Krankdud's going to be going for the faster way of quick killing him, opting to fire 2 missiles and then 3 super missiles into Kraid's mouth, locking Kraid's mouth in a specific position. Kanzeon going for the slower method with a charge beam shot to freeze Kraid's claw so it's not messing around with his shots. And then firing 4 super missiles. But these 2 runners picking up various suits. You know, I actually found out the other day, the reason it's called Varia Suit is because of a translation error. Originally, it was called Barrier Suit, and for some reason, didn't translate properly.
Yeah, their B and V sounds are kind of the same character in Japanese. So and also you don't really do the R's at the end of words, so it was Varia, and then the Ba became a V for Varia.
That's really interesting.
So both players get the Kraid quick kill, very, very close to each other. Krankdud still has a bit of a lead. It loses a little bit of it there with a missed jump into the E-Tank.
Yeah, he also lost a bit of time in the party zone with the Key Hunters partying all over him. As these 2 runners are making their way into Norfair, they're going to collect some items here. Starting with the high jump boots, then moving into the speed booster, and finally the wave beam. These items are all incredibly useful in a 100% run, as you do need them to collect 100% of the items.
Yes, it is helpful to have 100% of the items in the category where you need all 100% of the items. But you're right, these items actually do help traversal quite a bit. If you've ever tried to play through this game without the high jump boots, it's possible for sure, but boy, is it a lot harder.
It really sucks without high jump boots, let's be honest here. There's also some movement oddities, like speed booster is typically required, and if you go through the game without high jump boots, but you do have speed booster, your jump height is significantly lowered because of some movement oddities surrounding speed booster. Yeah, this is another point that Krankdud's coming up through, where I really appreciate having Spazer because you can just blast those dudes.
Kind of a dick move sticking a missile tank in the middle of nowhere in the lava in this room.
It's one of the more obnoxious missile pack locations. I think you're supposed to come back after you have gravity suit, but like, really, who's gonna do that? We don't have time for that. This is a speed run.
Yep. Is it possible to get a mock ball in this room?
It is, but it doesn't last for very long. You can mock ball for a couple blocks there, and then you'll bump into the enemy. It does save you time, but it's not a significant time save.
Yeah, Krankdud was telling me earlier that he would probably benefit a lot just from practicing the bosses a little bit. So that's the idea of how much practice time he's had to work with. So the idea of putting it towards such a minor time saving, not surprising that he's just going to go straight forward.
Absolutely. These two runners made their way through Bubble Mountain, not messing up the wall jump there, which can be very precise. So that's always good to see. Krankdud picking up the speed booster. Kanzeon will be right behind him. Speed booster. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what it does.
You go fast.
That
really fast.
That makes sense.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, actually. Not only do you just run fast, but it enables the almighty Shine Spark movement technique, which lets you go fast through the air, it lets you go fast up, and it lets you go fast by kind of skipping things and doing things out of order. So the speed booster, metaphorically and literally, lets you go faster in this game.
Would you say that it boosts your speed?
I would say absolutely, 100%. The speed booster boosts your speed.
I'm glad we figured that out.
Yeah, so with this boosted speed, they're now going to be able to, well, do all kinds of things, I guess. But first, we're getting the wave beam.
Ooh, Kanzeon falling off. He makes a quick recovery, just wall jumping back right up there. That can be incredibly frustrating to fall down. Those platforms, they move up and down, and it can be terribly difficult to adjust your positioning to land back on them correctly. So that can be a very costly mistake, but Kanzeon made a very clean recovery.
You're right, maybe they should have called it the Fast Maker. Probably just a translation issue. I'm sure in the original Japanese it was the Fast Goer. So we got those 3 items you called out. Where are we off to next?
These two runners, they are going to be going and fighting Crocmire and then picking up the grappling beam. Typically, well, this is where we'll see the routes diverge if they were to do different routes. There is another route where you can skip Crocmire for now, go and collect the ice beam, and it is a little bit faster if you do it optimally, but both these runners going for consistency. Not a bad choice. Only saves you about 20 seconds to do the new routes. And it is significantly harder, so they're going to go fight Crocmire and get trolled by his RNG here.
Except Krankdud's actually getting pretty good RNG. Well, there's another claw for him.
Krankdud swiping left on Crocmire.
I think he overall can be pretty happy about that Crocmire fight. We'll see if Kanzeon can come up just as lucky.
It looks like he's not. Kanzeon
No.
already getting trolled quite a bit by Crocmire with those first 2 swipes.
There's a third one, so I think he's now just a little bit behind Krankdud, if I was keeping track correctly, which is almost certainly not the case. But anyway, Crocmire's down for both players.
And you'll notice Kanzeon firing a charge shot while he's standing in the acid there. That's not just for good luck, folks. That's called a wraparound shot. And he's trying to open the door on the other side of the room.
Yeah, the shot wraps around.
Sometimes I hear that referred to as a reach around shot. That is incorrect. It is a wraparound shot.
That's a different shot. We're not going to talk about that shot here on the PG-13 channel Speed Gaming. You're going to have to look that one up on Urban Dictionary. Here we have wraparound shots. Shots wrap around the screen and open the door. It's a really neat trick. And it saves some time.
You know, half the time when I do commentary, somebody explains the wraparound shot to me, and then I completely forget how it works because the explanation is actually pretty complicated. Some oddities with how the game is constructed in the rooms. So, yeah.
It's definitely beyond my level of knowledge in this game. But I can kind of imagine, the way the game tracks projectiles on screen getting kind of overflowed or underflowed to the other side.
It is something like that. And it is used a couple times in this speedrun. We'll see them using it again in Criteria and perhaps even in Retro Brinstar. Both of these runners now picking up the grappling beam, going for the Indiana Jones, grappling their way across the pantry. That's what that's called, I believe. This is one of the more challenging intended strats because the grappling beam kind of sucks to use, and the way that it rotates Samus's sprites and the movement it's really weird.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as smooth as the rest of the movement that I think this game is kind of well known for, and what has attracted so many speedrunners to it. It is definitely not the grappling beam mechanics that brings the boys to the yard for Super Metroid. And there are some players who was it? There was someone in the tournament where they had a whole bunch of grapple beam strats that they used all the time. And it was fun just seeing him, like, he was actually good with the grapple beam, because so many people, you never want to use it, that a lot of players who are really, really good at Super Metroid, not very good at using the grapple beam, because you use it as sparingly as you do. So it was a treat to see someone really know what they were doing with that thing.
Yeah, and it'll come up a couple times, especially in old route. When this was the world record route, I went back and watched a couple world record videos, and there's some really unassuming uses of it. For example, in the wrecked ship on the exposed wires, you can actually use the grappling beam to take damage off of those and damage boost without being nearby a projectile.
Get over there! Oh! Alright, so he loses a bit more time on Krankdud due to that lovely grapple beam facing the wrong direction and unsure how to correct the problem.
Yeah, he's got to make up quite a bit of time here. Krankdud going for an Alpha Spark, able to nail it. That is a perfect Alpha Spark. Krankdud making his way up the red tower. He's going to be going for the hero shot, I believe.
Yeah, Krankdud doing surprisingly well. With the amount of practice he admits he has not had. Krankdud is a very strong blind player, though. Went quite far in Mystery Tournament. I think the only reason he missed top 8 was because he was unable to attend. So he's kind of relying on some of those improvisational skills, perhaps. And they're serving him well here. He's doing really good.
Definitely, yeah. I haven't watched a lot. I've seen a couple of Krankdud's races in the tournament. I've always been impressed by his skill level.
Having a bit of trouble with the tower as Kanzeon, he gets up there. The turnaround damage boost does not go the way Krankdud wants, ends up in the Vile Plume, and again does not get the boost.
Yeah, and that's not super costly, but it is really infuriating when you can't move. Kanzeon also struggling a little bit with the damage boost, but he does not get Vile Bloomed. He's okay. These two runners will now be making their way towards the wrecked ship to fight everybody's least favorite ghost.
Slimer. Everyone hates that guy. Why was he the mascot? Oh, it's Phantoon. No one likes him because he's random. And even if he wasn't random, he's still pretty tricky to fight.
Yeah, it can be exceptionally challenging.
Am I wrong in thinking that one of the motivations for the new route was fighting Phantoon earlier and getting his randomness kind of out of the way, so if you have to reset, it happens earlier?
I believe that's... I absolutely one of the motivations for new route, and that's the same for any percent too. Because in any percent in the new route, you fight Fantoon around I want to say like the 10 to 12 minute mark,
something like that. Yeah.
Because there's about 20 seconds of RNG on Fantoon. He can cost you up to 20 seconds. He can just, depending on his patterns, it can just totally suck for these runners, or it can go really well.
And while it's nice, not nice, but a lot of runners will be like, oh, well, he's random, darn, what can I do? But you do have some things under your control, so making the most of the patterns that he does give you does fall that burden falls upon the runner. So we'll see what these guys can do to adjust to the various patterns Fantoon has. Especially if they're going to be going for some X factors, you absolutely need to memorize those patterns.
Definitely. The X Factor method, one of the more precise methods of dealing damage to enemies. Optimally, these runners are wanted to take down Fantoon in 2 rounds with 2 X Factors. Krankdud looks like he's got power bombs ready. He's good to go. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have. He still has Spacer equipped.
Oh, we'll see if he switches once these blue flames are out of the way or something. Oh, all right.
He forgot. Yeah, he's going into the menu.
All right.
Phaser. Oh dear. Oh wow.
And got it?
He got that. That's very impressive. Not actually costing him any time.
That's the kind of improvisational skills I expect to see from Krankdud.
Giving us a curveball here. Not even going for the X Factors afterwards, finishing on Fantoon with a bit of a Doppler and a super missile. That was a really impressive fight.
Yeah, the thing I like about Krankdud is he always keeps his cool. When something like that happens, he laughs, and he does not let it get to him at all. He is able to think and act at a very high level in the face of weird situations like that. And it's showing. It's showing, absolutely. A wonderful Fantoon fight from him. Kanzeon also gets a 2-round Fantoon, I believe. Not letting Krankdud pull away from him any further.
Yeah, and those X Factors were perfect, so that's a unfortunately Fantoon did not really comply with RNG, but that's okay, because 2-round is fine, I guess. These 2 runners are still very close to each other, and we're coming up on Krankdud's side. We've got him heading towards the spiky room of death very shortly here. This room is so named as if the spikes drop on you, they will kill you, probably. They deal 100 damage, and because you are intended to go into this room with Gravity Suit, and these runners don't have time for that, they run the risk of possibly dying here. This is, I would say, probably the most dangerous part in the 100% run.
Yep, one of the highlights for 100%. You might think if you're a new Super Metroid runner, why would you do the category where you have to do everything so much longer? But 100% means collecting all of those juicy energy tanks, and as well as the various items that help out in other ways. So once you get going through a 100% run, the risk of dying actually goes way down. But until then, Super Metroid, very unforgiving game. A death would be pretty much the end of the tournament for either of these players. Definitely something you're going to be thinking about until you get those E-tanks.
Definitely. I remember when I first started running this category, I would opt to collect Gravity Suit before collecting that energy tank, as I would just die all the time in that room. Runners giving each other a bit of a high five, showing some good sportsmanship.
It's been a while since we had a good old-fashioned high five. Nice job. Krankdud getting the damage boost across the room, while Kanzeon successfully getting his grapple. Not going to fall down there. That's a pretty costly mistake. Yeah, damage boosting through the spiky death room can be real dangerous, but
Krankdud, like you said, keeping his cool. Kanzeon, though, right behind him. So Krankdud in the attic now. He's going for, I believe, a Shine Sparks. Oh, the speed keep strat. That's a little, actually super impressive. Nicely done. Going to save himself a bit of health and clear the enemies, go through the room very quickly. And spicy damage boost from Kanzeon there.
We'll see what Kanzeon has in mind for the attic.
Wow, and Krankdud, no trouble clipping through the work robots. I have never seen that room done that quickly before. That is very impressive and very fortunate. Sometimes those robots just don't want to cooperate, but you are able to clip through them with some luck and some expertise, it looks like.
The spark goes well for Kanzeon. Attic cleared out for him. Another high five. Lots of opportunities for those in the wrecked ship. Krankdud on his way out now.
Oh, and Krankdud, unfortunately, did not retain enough speed for the mountain missile jump there. He's going to have to try again. Not going to cost him a tremendous amount of time, but Kanzeon is going to be using this opportunity to catch up as, again, these runners very close.
So Kanzeon losing just a little bit of time in the robot room, whereas Krankdud losing quite a bit of time just outside the wrecked ship. The gap between them closes just a little more, and there's still a lot of Super Metroid left to play.
Almost another high five.
First try on the missile for Kanzeon.
Oh, and wow, what an impressive bowling spark from Krankdud. That charge that he just performed there, incredibly short distance that you have to charge. So very nicely done. How he's going to hop into the bowling Chozo? I don't know the name of this guy. He's going to hop into his arms, however, and get carried across. It's a nice 30-second break for the runners. I often just use this this time to check my social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good place to look at pictures of cats on Instagram or even Snapchat.
Bowl Terizo. I figured this guy would have a name. The Super Metroid loves to give, the Super Metroid community rather loves to give names to things, partially because you just need a way to talk about these things with other people. But once you get going with some names, it becomes fun to just keep going. I was gonna say they should call him Fred Flintstone. Or Twinkle Toes, maybe.
It looks like we have confirmation in the chat from Fiesel. The Chozo statue's name is Eduardo.
Oh, I missed Shine Spark there for Krankdud's gonna have to back up, reuse this conveyor belt. You mentioned the short charge. Krankdud is very, very good at short charges. I don't know if he practiced them or if they come natural to him or if some way he used to play the game lended himself to doing them, but there's a lot of things where he'll go for safer strats or older strats that are not quite up to speed, but his short charges are top tier.
Yeah, short charging, one of the most versatile skills to have in Super Metroid, as, well, makes you go fast.
Yeah, by going slow for a little bit, you're allowed to go fast for a long bit. I guess we could, I mean, we're pretty late in the tournament, but we could back up and talk a little bit about what exactly short charging is, maybe.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. When you are charging a Shine Spark, there are only 4 frames that the game looks for to determine whether or not you're holding run. And if you're holding run on those frames, it'll continue to charge the Shine Spark for you. So by tapping the run button, and thus lowering your speed as you are charging the Shine Spark, you can charge across a shorter distance. That being said, the timing for it is pretty precise. Hence why I am super impressed every time Krankdud does one of these.
Oh, and then Commentator's Curse, he misses one. Gets it second try, though.
Dipping into his reserve tanks, it's interesting. Opting for a bit of safety there. because he's about to perform the longest Shine Spark in the game, going for another wraparound shot in criteria. We were talking about this earlier. As soon as he picks up these power bombs, he's going to head back and opening the door on the left side of the room from the right side.
Again, another high five. Kanzeon's made up some major ground here. All right. Let's see if Krankdud got it. He did.
Yeah, and he opted for a bit of safety there as he re-equipped the Spacer Beam. This allows him to, and it gives him a little bit of leeway with this wraparound shot, because otherwise, without Spacer, it is pixel perfect. Oh. Kanzeon getting the shot, then Shine Sparking directly into the ceiling. That's not where he meant to go.
Yep, that is a good old-fashioned Goop Spark.
He's going to have to dip into his reserve tanks if he wants to make the Shine Spark.
I was just saying his energy's looking not good here as he starts this incredibly long Shine Spark. I don't even know if this is going to be in. I guess it is, but it's going to be really close. Scary moment for him. It's 76 energy.
We did see, we have seen runners die there before. It is an unfortunate place to die, but it is possible.
Yeah, probably not as scary as I was making it out to be. E-tank acquired, full health.
We're building up tension for the viewers. That's what we're here for.
Just lying about the riskiness of things. Oh my god, Krankdud having the perfect this room. Yeah.
Literally have never seen this before. Anyways.
Get hyped for holding the run button. Oh my god.
Speaking of hype, Kanzeon picking up the Gauntlet missiles right after Krankdud. He wants to fall down the center of those crumble blocks because otherwise he has to go all the way around the Gauntlet again. But fortunately, both of these runners are able to get it. No worries.
Yeah, you have to go all the way around if you screw that up, right?
You do indeed. So I want to say Krankdud's about a minute ahead of Kanzeon at this point. That Goop Spark was very costly.
Yeah, they were no less than 20 seconds apart before that, so 40 seconds for one tiny missed directional input. Very costly. Gets that first damage boost, but having a bit of trouble with the next few as Krankdud finally gets out of there. Already knows how to wall jump. No thanks, Edacoons.
He's gonna show them how to wall jump.
Yep.
Real nice mock ball from Kanzeon. I'm gonna point this out. Not really related, but I just got a message from my dad telling me he's watching the stream. Shoutouts to my dad. Thanks for watching.
Aw, that's nice.
Right?
Does he already know what speedrunning is, or did you have to, like...
He has no idea what's going on.
I have had that, I tried to at least, had that conversation with family, because it's like, oh, I'm doing a thing, it's kind of fun. Like, what are you doing? Well, let me back up and talk about what the hell speedrunning is. Here's what Twitch TV is. People watch people play video games. Yeah, kind of a lot of people do, kind of millions of people.
But why would you watch a game
when you could play the game? I know, that's everyone said. Anyway, we're deviating quite a bit here. Players are moving through. Pink Brinstar picking up some of these items they've missed. Not fighting Spore Spawn.
Spore Spawn is a slow boss, and we can skip him entirely, so we are going to do that. Looks like neither of those runners going for the Mission Impossible strat. Instead of opting for a safer strat, well, not really any harm in going for this, but it's going to save him some super missiles. Just picking up the power bombs there. Making their way through the sports bomb missiles. We're going to see another high five from these two runners.
We sure are. Unless Krankdud can kind of slip past him here. I think technically we did not have a high five.
They looked at each other.
Yeah.
That was it. Of note, Krankdud did not open the cement door there after killing the enemies, so he's going to have to kill them again, which not a big deal, but it is going to cost him a little bit of time. And again, Kanzeon needs every little bit of time save going forward. Yeah, and you see he was going for that damage boost, which would have been really sweet. Very unfortunate the door was still closed. Dropping a power bomb.
Already facing right to pick up this E-Tank.
Yeah, that is actually a very minor movement optimization. If you turn about 8 pixels away from an item, you can perform a wall jump check on it and pick up the item without actually touching it like that.
Power bomb placement on point as Krankdud exits the sort of charge beam area.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to drop a power bomb up in the Green Hill Zone for good luck. Kanzeon hopefully will do the same thing.
Are we having stream troubles all around, or is it just me for Kanzeon's stream?
I'm noticing a little bit of trouble with Kanzeon's stream.
All right, so we'll just keep going, powering on through.
So Krankdud making his way across the new bridge yet again, ensuring to hold the run button. Good choice.
Yep, I saw him practicing getting from that ledge to the door cleanly, and he had just kind of forgot how to do it and was trying to figure out how to do it again. Did not get it here.
Yeah, it can be a little frustrating. And sometimes when you get so practiced with this game, you'll just forget strategies, I've noticed. There was a period of time where I could not do Alcatraz. So I would attempt it about 10 times in a run and then reset, and this is my stream for about a week. So Krankdud in Main Street Meridia, going for one of those short charges you were talking about earlier. That's going to save him a significant amount of time over Kanzeon, because I don't believe he's going to go for the short charge there, picking up the Main Street missiles. Another spicy D-boost from Kanzeon, though, as he enters the room below Spazer.
Krankdud heading to, I believe, Mama Turtle Room.
If you could save Mama Turtle, would you?
She's pretty far away. She's probably fine, though. She's, like, invulnerable.
That is true. She literally cannot be dealt damage. She's probably just in space at the end.
Planet just blows up, and she's like, well, whatever. I guess I'll hit another planet eventually. I'll just fly through space for a little bit.
Yeah, she's fine. Kanzeon, however, did go for that short charge we were talking about, able to get it no problem after a couple attempts, so he's not going to lose that much time.
Helpful chat reporting 40 seconds apart are these players. They haven't been too much more or too much less apart as these 40 seconds. It's fluctuated a little bit, maybe 20 seconds, maybe a full minute. But this has been the story of the race so far. Krankdud just a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and when we get to boss fights, specifically Botmoon and Dragon, we'll see those fights can kind of make or break these times for these runners. There's a lot of opportunity to make up time and also a lot of risk involved depending on which strats they go for.
Krankdud seems pretty solid at the Botmoon fight, but I saw him struggling a little bit with Dragon in practice. that could be an opportunity for Kanzeon to make up some ground.
Definitely. And the problem with Bottoon is you can be really good at the fight, but it still has the worst hitbox in the entire game. It can just eat your shots sometimes. So Krankdud making his way across the Meridia Beach, picking up some items there. Kanzeon right behind him.
Really clean ascent through that area there with the purple.
I always get bopped by the crab there.
Yeah, Krankdud hesitated a moment to make sure he didn't. Kanzeon just flew right past him.
And we should see another high five from these two runners. Very impressive. Incredible sportsmanship. Keep it up, guys. That's what we love to see.
There it was. I think. I get lost in these sandy areas. They all look the same. I'm sure it happened.
That's my problem with Meridia. Everything looks the same. And it just kind of sucks. This place sucks, you know?
Yeah, they have the gravity suit, thank God. Nothing sucks quite like suitless Meridia.
Yeah, probably one of the worst experiences in the entire Super Metroid community is trying to perform an RBO run, not having a suit to go through Meridia with because everything's slowed down. Anyways, we'll see Krankdud entering the Bottoon fight, able to get that first X Factor. Bottoon's hitbox eating a couple super missiles. That's okay. He's still able to defeat the boss in one round.
Doing everything he can to hold on to his lead, making things difficult for Kanzeon. We'll see what he has in mind for Dragon. But first, I've seen him practice the full halfy, and it's not gone his way. Less than 1 in 20 success rate, so very smart to just go for the halfy here.
Do we just call it the halfy, or do we call it the half-halfy? Because if there's a full half...
Well... No, it's... You're right. You're right. It doesn't make sense. We really need to address this issue. Or not. Or maybe we all just turn a blind eye to the silliness of the halfy. Bottoon fight not going as cleanly there for Kanzeon as it did for Krankdud. Had to kind of snipe him a little bit with some super missiles, but that fight can kind of get away from you in a way that really sucks, and Kanzeon not letting that happen. So
Kanzeon is actually going for the full uppy there.
Is that what they call that, or is that something you just said?
That is definitely what that's called. Well, I've heard that's called that before. I don't know if that's the official name for it, but it is now, folks.
It is now. It's official. So the X Factor, I don't think quite cleanly connected there for Krankdud. Going with some Shine Sparks. Does not finish him with that one, so we'll see if he can get another one. Nice. Pretty good Dragon fight. He's going to be happy with that. The philosopher's happy. It's good.
Yeah, that was a pretty good, actually a really good fight from Krankdud there, getting the blue suit. Definitely going to save him some time as he goes through the Coliseum again for the reverse halfy.
Couldn't quite tell if Kanzeon was going for a short charge or not, but he does get it when it matters. Most of the X Factor connecting there, it looked like. He's all charged up. That was a lot of damage from that Shine Spark. Didn't quite finish him.
Yeah, I think optimally it'll take you about 3 Shine Sparks to kill Dragon. Oh, unfortunately Kanzeon not able to spark in time. He's going to go for a little bit slower strat, just bombarding Dragon with super missiles. Not able to get the blue suit. That's very unfortunate. It's going to cost him about 12 seconds, I believe.
And I think he probably lost just a little bit of time in the boss fight itself. So his opportunity to make up some ground on Krankdud goes the other way. Krankdud pulling a little further ahead, but there's still a lot of Metroid left, and most of it is Hundo specific, so it's going to be not in Krankdud's wheelhouse. Definitely not over yet.
Yeah, this is where we're going to start seeing a lot of the impressive movement optimizations from these two runners. Things that are pretty unassuming, but they definitely add up over the course of the run.
Here's where the blue suit saves all that time, able to shine spark across the Coliseum. Kanzeon having to space jump across, and then also missed that ledge there, fell down a little bit. There's a couple more seconds going the way of his opponent.
Yeah, so it looks like Krankdud about a minute ahead of his opponent right now. He's going to be heading towards the spring ball, making his way through the pants room.
Now, we'll see what Krankdud has in mind. This is very important here. He promised a surprise. And here it is. I don't know if you knew this, but Krankdud did run Cave Story once upon a time. So while we wait for Shaq Tool to clear the way, we're going to see how far Krankdud can make it through some Cave Story. We've seen him run Doom and Quake in this tournament while waiting for Shaq Tool. So he's switching genres here.
That was amazing. Typically, I just make crappy jokes about social media and Tinder here, but that was legitimately really impressive from Krankdud.
I was hoping for some Dust Force. Krankdud also a Dust Force runner, but I'll take the Cave Story, no problem. Shaq Tool has successfully cleared the way. This is the Spring Ball. We kind of don't really want it, but we need it for 100%. So here we are.
Kanzeon, oh my goodness, he has to reset the room. Not able to drop the power bomb in time. Very unfortunate. However, we will see another high five from these two runners.
Yeah, this one, nice and clear. Kind of the most epic of high fives, really. An entire hallway to just charge down. Reminds me of the time in high school where I spotted my friend at the other end of the hallway. And when we locked eyes, we knew what had to happen. We ran down the hallway, and we connected with the high five, which we were happy with. But unfortunately, that also meant it hurt like hell.
I think everybody goes through that moment at least once in their life.
It just seems like a really good idea, and then you realize maybe it wasn't. So, the high five there in the Shaq Tool room. Krankdud already waded through this whole thing, so he's going to be off and running, making progress through Meridia, while Kanzeon stuck waiting. He's finally got the spring ball now. Into the plasma room, which maybe has a name other than that, but that's what I'm going to call it.
Plasma room is fine, I think. The room before it, called the Cassius room, but I don't know the name of the plasma room.
Is there a story behind the Cassius room?
Yeah, but it was before my time.
Aw, that's my favorite part of speedrunning, is those weird trivia history moments. Maybe someone in chat who's in the know can enlighten us.
Yeah, I've always been curious. Krankdud making his way into Cack-Attack Alley. This is one of the more challenging rooms to optimize, as the Cack-Attacks can kind of clip you there.
This was another room where Krankdud forgot the strat to get through it and had to kind of figure out what he wanted to do.
Seems to look like he knows what he's doing, however. And he's actually going to pick up this the Botwin energy tank on his second trip down, whereas Kanzeon picked it up on his first pass through this area. So that's about 7 seconds that Kanzeon sort of made up on him right there. The order for item collection in Meridia can be a little different depending on preference, as you do have to make 2 passes through the aqueduct.
I wish I could speak a little more intelligently about the optimizations these players are making here in Meridia. There's a lot of, you've just acquired space jump, so it's kind of changed the way you can move through the game. And unfortunately, I'm just quite not able to point out all the little things that the players may or may not be doing to save time here. I feel like Krankdud moving a little more smoothly through this section of the game.
Well, you can see right there, attempting to go for a quick drop there, and then quick drops through. Every time they step into the quicksand, they want a quick drop through there as well. And you'll see like some spicy damage boosts coming down into these sandy tunnels there. You know what? In trying to talk about it, I'm realizing now there's optimizations for literally every room.
I think that's that's Super Metroid for sure.
Krankdud finally out of Meridia. He's gonna go pick up the Kraid missiles. Opting for a mock ball there.
He really wanted to get that mock ball jump across. I saw him practicing that. He said it was important to him to get that strat, so he's probably a little crestfallen that he didn't quite get that. I won't be surprised if it affects his play from here on out.
Very unfortunate. It's a good mock ball to get. It looks really good, but I don't know how much time it actually saves.
Yeah, probably not too much.
Every runner has those strats that they always want to get. Those swag, you know, showing off to everybody, especially when you have such a big race, right?
Yeah, there's some things in speedruns that just feel good to do. Super Metroid kind of chock full of them, but that's
Super Metroid also full of moments that feel bad.
Yes, that and sometimes it just feels good avoiding the things that feel bad. Maybe actually the vast majority, but yeah, Super Metroid can be a harsh game. Certain mistakes can kind of spiral out of control, lead to a really, really bad situation. So it's important, a little less so in 100% when you can fall back on a lot of these E-tanks. But really important to keep your head in Super Metroid once something goes wrong and you get kind of off the track.
Definitely.
Ice Beam acquired for Krankdud. Kanzeon not quite getting the jump across. Didn't really stop too much though, so very, very minor time loss for him. But perhaps he doesn't stake as much importance on that strategy as Krankdud does. Will not be quite as mentally affected.
I'm just noticing this now in Kanzeon's chat. He's actually talking about his D-pad on his controller. I believe last time I spoke to him, he was using something like a PS2 controller to run this game.
Oh no!
On an emulator. So yeah, that sucks.
Holds out for another 40 minutes or so. I highly recommend. Well, I don't know. I've seen if you stick with it long enough, you can play Super Metroid with a fight stick. Like you can figure it out. But I highly recommend the SNES pad.
Yeah, that's the way it was meant to be played. I feel like Krankdud falling to the lava there. He's trying to go preserve his momentum using the space jump. Unfortunately, getting clipped by the lava will slow him down completely, and he did wisely remember to switch to the grappling beam and grapple his way across there. Another effective use of the grappling beam that we don't really see, but is a good backup. He will now be entering the dragon. The dragon that is Ridley's big, dumb mouth.
Kanzeon's got the ice beam, making his way down to this lower Norfair area.
Krankdud going for the blue fireball as he enters the lavatory. Very impressive.
In practice, he actually got all the way across that jump and was completely shocked when he did. He was, I've never made it over here before. That was weird. Got caught up a little bit. This time things went the way he expected, though.
I don't believe it actually costs you a significant amount of time to fall into the acid, however, as you still have to wait for the power bomb to explode.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be careful here, though. Oh, wisely switching to spring ball so he doesn't fall through the crumble blocks and have to go all the way around again.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Krankdud is the sort of player who will keep tabs on his opponent. But if he knows he's got about a 90-second lead, he will definitely opt to take those safer strats.
Yeah, he certainly has the time to spare. Going for an easy strat on this super easy boss, standing right next to him, firing straight upwards and crouching, allows the plasma shots to hit him twice with every shot, cutting the time to fight him in half.
Yeah, actually not so easy a boss if you don't know about all the little tricks, but making him look easy for sure with the strategy. He's got the screw attack now. Still maintaining a healthy lead over his opponent.
Yeah, and I think the main point for Kanzeon here is he's got to make sure not to get tilted. You can kind of see it in his play a little bit. He's made some errors that have tended to propagate throughout the run. He's just got to stay focused if he wants to win this race. Krankdud getting fast pillars as he enters the worst room in the game. Not so bad in 100% as you do have screw attack, so you can just say screw it to these space pirates.
You sure can. To the Mickey Mouse room, the dead mouse missiles.
I'm gonna call them the dead mouse missiles. That's funny.
Yeah, there's someone will throw that emote up in chat, and they won't let me down on that one.
I can't believe I've never heard that before. Super Metroid community notorious for really bad memes, not letting us down yet again.
So we've got Shozo fight here. No problems as expected. There they are, thank you so much. Now you have an idea of the Twitch chat delay, as do we, I suppose. Screw attack acquired for Kanzeon. Off the top of my head, I want to say he's still about 90 seconds behind Krankdud.
I would say a little bit more, as he did struggle going into the lavatory just a little bit, not able to get the blue fireball strat or even the speed echoes as he was attempting to clear through the those fiery things. I'm not sure what they're called.
Don't ask me. Not the fast pillar strat there for Kanzeon. An opportunity to keep pace with Krankdud is gone. And I've been saying there's still a lot of Super Metroid left to play, but there's honestly not too much left to play at this point. A minute and a half is a significant deficit, but a lot can go wrong still in Super Metroid, so his chances are not looking good, but they're certainly not over.
I've actually seen quite a few upsets in this tournament so far. I remember watching Fuzda, and I can't quite remember who it was. Oh man, Kanzeon, oh dear. Falling through that room there. He's gonna have to go all the way around. That sucks.
Was it Fuzda Galamaz?
Yes, that's who it was. And Fuzda actually died at the Mother Brain. Or something? Yes, he did die at the Mother Brain. Not to commentator's curse again, but...
there are some things that can go wrong there, for sure. I expect to see Krankdud doing the stand-up glitch. And I have seen a nice Twitch clip of him forgetting exactly how to execute on that glitch and getting locked into a weird pull into Mother Brain, where you repeatedly hit her until you die. So absolutely anything can happen. Looked like Krankdud was going to end the Ridley fight there, intentionally getting picked up, but not quite enough damage done. One more charge shot and then getting picked up. That will be the end of Ridley. An okay fight for him, but definitely could be done a little cleaner. We'll see if Kanzeon can make up some ground there.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of ground to be made up, though, however. The Ridley fight, fairly straightforward. Just shoot him until he dies. I think we should be seeing another high five from these two runners very shortly here.
At some point, yes.
Oh, and a super spicy damage boost from Krankdud as he exits the room right after Ridley. That one I've never quite been able to pull off. It looks real cool. Kanzeon opting not to KO through the platforms. There's
Here
the high
it is.
five.
Bam. Kanzeon just drops down on this platform in front of Krankdud.
Going for the Wasteland Speedball. That one is a little bit challenging as you have to abuse the way that iframes work in order to charge enough or kill the side hoppery dudes. I think they're called Gigas in Lower Norfair. Misses it, but that's okay. He still has a very sizable lead.
So there's still just a little bit left to do in Norfair here.
Got some item collection.
Thankfully, one of the areas of the game you don't have to visit twice. These fireflies throwing themselves at Krankdud.
Yeah, I believe the room is completely immersed in darkness now, so he's going to have to feel his way around. Hopefully he's done this enough times to make it through there.
He did comment on this in practice, that he was not 100% sure of the way to go through, but he did feel it out pretty quickly, and it looks like he was able to do so again in the race.
Yeah, and I mean, worst case scenario, you can just run into every wall, and that's fine. And we are going for a very impressive speedball strat. So impressive that I can't even say words properly anymore. Unfortunately, misses it. Not going to cost him a significant amount of time. That strategy, speedballing through that bomb blocks at the top there, very challenging, saves a significant amount of time.
If it involves a short charge, Krankdud's probably going to go for it. Kanzeon getting bopped by one of those metal pirates. Seeing some rough edges on Kanzeon's play. It's possible he has started to tilt a little bit. Like you said, it's looking more and more like Krankdud's race to lose. We just need to see if he can keep it together as he rounds up the last few items.
You know, and this is barely related, but I just remembered that it is Kanzeon's birthday today.
That is super related. That is the most important thing we have said so far. Happy birthday, Kanzeon.
Happy birthday, friend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, happy birthday, you're out of the tournament, but it's it's not over yet. Hopefully, we will not have to say such cruel words.
I'll be the one to say them, though. I'm calling dibs on that.
All right. Reserve tank picked up for Krankdud. I briefly considered singing happy birthday on stream, but I have thought better of such nonsense.
Yeah, I would join you, but I am tone deaf, so I don't think anyone would enjoy that.
It's tempting as they go through the last sweep through the game to pick up the last few items. Damage boost off the... What is it? They're different when they have the rocket boost, the enemies. They're not rippers, they're something. But whatever it was, damage boost across for Krankdud, small time saver. It will be interesting to see if Krankdud opts to save the game. A lot of speedrunners kind of averse to losing time to save the game. Certainly not something you do when you're going for a personal best. But he's so far ahead that the only way he loses this race is dying and losing a couple seconds to save the game and maybe give himself a second try, a second life in this race should he need it. Definitely worth thinking about.
Yeah, I would not be opposed to that right now. Or rather, when he gets to Turian.
Once again, killing every single Firefly. Leaves one alive to tell the tale. Making his way to what I believe is the X-ray scope.
This is the X-ray scope. This will allow him to see through walls to find the location of any hidden items. However, I do believe he knows the location of all the hidden items, so he probably won't be needing it.
As spotty as Krankdud's memory is on some of these strats, I believe he has said he's never done a 100% run and ended up with a 99. So he is pretty solid.
I find that very hard to believe. Everybody who's running this game has done at least one 99% run.
It's what he said. Believe him or not.
I don't, not for a second. I hate to say it.
Well, also keep in mind he hasn't done that many 100% runs, so.
Fair enough. I do, yes, Krankdud, one of the prominent any percent speedrunners.
Prominence maybe going a little.
One
far.
of the any percent speedrunners. And looks like the power bomb that he dropped earlier for good luck was able to open the door at the top of Green Hill Zone there, so that's a bit of a time save.
Making his way through Blue Brinstar. His splits are not set up correctly, so I have no idea if he's ahead or behind PB pace. It's been a pretty solid run. No major mistakes that I can think of. A couple, a missed Shine Spark or two. Like the missiles near wrecked ship. But the boss fights have been pretty clean.
Yeah, all around a very impressive run from both of these runners. I know for a fact Kanzeon's probably not too pleased with his run, but I think he is doing really well. Oh, geez. Krankdud picked up one missile pack, but wait, there's more as he goes for the Billy Mays missiles.
Can't miss that.
Yeah, I nearly missed an opportunity to make another really bad joke, and we can't have that.
Krankdud's doing something. All right, there he goes. Gets through the block.
Krankdud opting for a Shine Spark, charging it below the elevator, going to carry it up all the way into Criteria, into the next room. I'm a huge fan of this Shine Spark because it's you carry it so far across so many different rooms.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I also like the Shine Spark coming out of Samus's ship.
Oh, that one's sweet, yeah.
It holds onto that one for quite a while. Does her ship have a name? Or is it just the ship?
I know.
All right, Krankdud has to go for a bit of a short charge here. Gets it, no problem.
Yeah, it was a good recovery. Typically, you want to freeze all the goopy, yellowy things before they start jumping, and that'll allow you to retain your speed through the entire thing. But opting for a nice short charge backup, very impressive.
Kanzeon as well has done a really good job of recovering when things have not gone his way. It's one of the reasons why he's probably not going to be too happy with his run, because he made the mistake in the first place. It's really easy to not give yourself credit for the ability and skill you show dealing with that mistake.
Definitely. He's also probably not too pleased with this run, as he's not playing Link to the Past, which I believe he's enjoying a lot more right now.
It's like those reviews you see on Amazon where it's like 1 star and it's some completely unrelated thing to the quality of the product.
Yep.
Showed up late. Run was awful because it wasn't a Link to the Past. So help me out here. How many items does Krankdud have right now?
It's tough to say. I know it looks like he has all the energy tanks. I would like to say he has 100% of the items.
We'll find out.
I guess it's easier to tell once he actually heads into Turian, as the drops in there should cap out his items and show us how many missiles he has. Ideally, he's going to want 230, which is why we call the last missile pack the cavity missiles, because then you have 230 missiles.
230.
230.
All right, Golden 4 split hit for Krankdud. It's a 116.59. Maybe someone can read into that as to what kind of time he's looking at ending up with, should Turian go well for him. Having a bit of trouble with these Metroids. I was about to say this is, it's part of the 80% run to go through Turian, but it does seem to be a bit of a weakness of Krankdud's. I've seen him have trouble with these Metroids before.
Yeah, and typically the strategies that you want to employ in 80% are a little bit different, as you do want to be going for grouping strats, but it is faster to just snag them one by one in 100%, as you don't quite need the drops anymore.
So that could be it. That could be the strat change that's throwing him off here.
Turian, also one of the most technical sections of the game, is you need to do a lot of item swapping back and forth. Items.
Yeah, one of the things that's that can keep people away from wanting to run this game. Definitely speaking for myself here, but I'm sure some others. Is having to hit so many gosh darn buttons. You're constantly holding run, jump, and shoot, and then add weapon switching on top of that, as well as arm pumping to aim up and down. Your hands are spidering all over the controller, and Turian puts those skills to the test.
There's a lot going on here. Something else going on. Krankdud's going to be going for the Metroid skip. Unfortunately, he gets nabbed by the Metroid. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Not a big deal. He is facing left, however, which is going to cost him 40 frames, as Stamets will have to perform a stand-up animation.
Ooh. That's 40 free frames. You take those. But it's looking more and more like that is not going to be what determines the race.
It definitely looks like this is Krankdud's race to win right now.
Krankdud is definitely the sort of person who is very practical. If he knows what's going to win me this race is not dying to Mother Brain, he's not even going to devote mental energy to thinking about facing right for the Metroid thing. That's out of his mind. His mind is somewhere else, focusing on where it really matters. And we'll see if it's enough to get him through. Well, get him through the Zebetite for one.
And here's something that's a little bit scary. Looking at Krankdud's screen, he has 225 missiles, and I don't know if it's a fact that his missiles capped out at that point, which would imply that he is missing a missile pack. But he could have just not picked up enough drops from the Metroids.
Wait, he just hit the recharge station, though, right?
He hit the energy recharge station, not
but not the missile. Okay.
Oh, we have word from the... Oh, I'm confused.
Maybe they thought the same thing I did, because that's why I said it. I read it in...
Let's hope that this is 100%, because you did say that he has never performed a 99% run. I didn't believe you. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, people call out the commentator curse, and it's like, well, you know, you say enough things about what's happening. Of course, eventually the bad thing's going to happen that you're talking about. That's just how it works. I don't want to spoil the mystery, but just a matter of probability that eventually you're going to curse the player. But to call out the 99% ahead of time the way I did, that would be a truly fantastic commentator curse. But Krankdud seems confident that he does not have this 225 situation. Mother Brain fight going well for him so far. Don't touch the ground when it matters.
Floor is lava. Wait. He is able to perform the stand-up glitch effectively.
Krankdud in chat says he has no idea if he's missing something right now. He follows it up with an LOL, so he has a sense of humor about it. I feel like he was not really... he knows he would be a hell of a thing for him to win the tournament, right? He's got some people who are just simply much more practiced than him. So he knows winning the tournament probably not in the cards. So that's probably means his heart's not going to be all the way in it. So if he ends up going out here on a 99%, I think he's more going to think that's hilarious than he is going to be kicking himself over it, which is somewhat of a good attitude to have, somewhat of a bad attitude to be pessimistic about your chances in the tournament. But either way, that's my read on his situation. Stand-up glitch performed, got a big chunk of damage out of it. Ideally, I think you can pretty much just kill Mother Brain before you actually get the Hyper Beam. Like, you can do all the damage you need to if you're really spot on, but Krankdud needs about 6 shots with
Even
that
if you
Hyper
are
Beam.
Spot on, she will continue to faff about until you shoot her with the Hyper Beam, I believe.
So you need at least 1. Okay.
Kanzeon going for the stand-up glitch.
He is at the correct energy levels for the glitch. Alright, chat, if you think Krankdud's got 100%, I want you to vote yay. And if you think he's only got 99%, I want you to vote nay. Alright? I can't remember exactly the syntax for the emotes. You can look him up. You can click that button. But there's only so much time left. Oh, they're just saying yay or nay. I guess that works. I was hoping for the vote yays and the vote nays. There's a couple. Spark looks good.
He's hopefully not going to be saving the animals because that would just be really, really tragic.
I happen to know Krankdud is very anti-animals.
Good for him. Good choice.
I'm sure it didn't even cross his mind that there were animals at all. So only 32, 4 seconds away from his PB. Maybe a late split. I'm not sure when timing is. Maybe it's actually 38 seconds. So a pretty good run from him.
Very good run. Being very close to your PB in a race is actually it's so challenging. There's races impose a lot of very interesting constraints on the speed run, so I think Kanzeon might have been going for a soft lock there, a little bit of a cheeky end to his race.
Which would not have been a smart decision if it turns out Krankdud does indeed have the 99%. I think in that situation, they would be even. They would just hit the reset button and do another run. The operation was completed successfully.
In-game time, 53 minutes, very fast.
We'll see just how successful this mission was. Was it 99% successful or 100% successful? Nothing to do but wait for this painfully slow credit sequence. Thankfully, we've got someone still going fast to watch Kanzeon making his way through the escape.
Yeah, and this should be a 127 for Kanzeon, which is not a bad time at all, considering he doesn't really run this game anymore.
Yep, Krankdud, both these players, I guess, now kind of coming out of pseudo-retirement. Krankdud, I think, probably a little more fresh. He did fire up his stream and actually play the game a little bit before the race. But before the sort of AGDQ break, he was definitely really fresh on this game. It served him well in this race, able to come out with a win here of about 2 minutes over Kanzeon, who jumps over the ship. Wait a minute, what are you doing? There's only...
You better not be going back to the animals.
No,
what are you doing,
no,
Kanzeon?
who knows what he's going crazy.
He's a madman.
Samus has got a case of space madness. Too much time out there on foreign planets. I guess he's just trying to run out the missile count. I don't know, he ends up at 30 and he gets in the ship. So it's going to be a 2.5 minute victory, if it's a victory at all, for Krankdud.
Yikes. All right, now we just gotta wait for these credits to roll. Hopefully both of these runners collecting 100% of the items. In the meantime, why don't we talk about what's coming down the speed gaming pipeline the next couple days or so. We got on the 27th, Jack versus Farrell at 1 p.m. And January 29th, that's a Sunday, Skruger versus the Dude, 3 p.m. Now the big reveal, the moment of truth from our friend Krankdud.
What is it gonna be? Your rate for collecting items is 100%. The 225 was looking pretty damning. But Krankdud, his streak continues. 100%, he does indeed win this match with a time of 1:25:16. He's going to be moving on to be one of the top 16 players in this tournament. Congratulations to him.
Very impressive run from Krankdud. And a very impressive run from Kanzeon. You can see him saying in his chat right now, never have to run this stupid game anymore. That's right, Kanzeon. Happy birthday. Go run Link to the Past.
That's a much better way to approach that happy birthday message. I like it. You're free. You're free from your obligation. Nice job though, making it to the single elimination round. A lot of people entered this tournament, and Kanzeon came out on top of a whole bunch of them. So congrats to him. He is eliminated, I guess, in 17th place. And Krankdud is going to be moving on.
Very nicely done.
So you already shouted out some of the Super Metroid matches coming up in the near future, but also on this channel, we've got a lot of tournaments actually happening. There's Final Fantasy 1, Shovel Knight. This weekend's going to be the huge DuckTales one. That's the one I super want to plug. But tomorrow at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., we've got some Final Fantasy 1. And at 8 p.m., we've got some Shovel Knight. And I really like watching the Shovel Knight races. So that's my recommendation. If you've only got a couple hours tomorrow, come check out Shovel Knight at 8 p.m. But that's what's going to be happening on this channel. This weekend, the 28th, is going to be the DuckTales tournament. It's going to be a little different if you haven't seen some of these one-day tournaments that we've done before. It's going to be a couple of people have entered here, and there was a entry fee into this tournament. $5 to get in on this DuckTales tournament. What does that mean? It means there's a prize pool. We are going to be giving away cash prizes to the winners of this DuckTales tournament. Twitch has graciously added to this prize pool. It's going to be really cool. It's going to take place in 2 stages. The first is going to happen this weekend on the 28th. DuckTales Any Percent Easy tournament. It's like a 10-minute run. The players are going to be separated by a couple of seconds at best at the highest levels. The race at AGDQ between Endy and Gyarados, the top 2, was amazing. I won't spoil it, but that was one of the highlights of the marathon for me. And I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys and everyone else can come up with at the tournament on the 28th. And then the finals for that tournament are going to be the next week on the 4th. It's going to be something kind of special, I think, in the speedrun community. Not a lot of speedrun tournaments for cash prizes. Could be the way of things. I don't know. But it's definitely worth checking out. So that's what's coming up. Yeah.
And that's going to do it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is it for tonight. I'm pretty sure. I just want to double check. Yes, it is.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on Speed Gaming Channel. Thank you, Mythical, for commentating with me pretty much last minute.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
And we'll see you guys next mission.